So, I will be honest with you, I could not handle the start of Bad Blood. Because Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi were our hosts. They were in the ring. They just went, oh wow, welcome to Bad Blood. I was like, out of context, that sounds totally unhinged. They also did the same with the Hell in a Cell, which was going to be our first match, because they were like, woo, Hell in a Cell. So once again, context is king. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for Bad Blood, which did go down last night and is the latest in WWE's PLE series. And I'll tell you, the name of my show is very apt for what we're going to talk about today, because there are plenty of ups and there are some downs that are going to annoy you. So are you ready? Of course you are. Otherwise, why else would you be here? Let's up those downs. Which meant we were going to be kicking off with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And look, while I do completely understand why they weren't a main event, and we'll talk about that later, I did kind of feel disappointed for them, because all the work they put in 2024, this should have been the last match. Now they don't need my sympathy, and this is me being a full-on nerd. But when I searched my feelings, I realized it was true. And again, we shall make it clear as we go through the show, but that's got to get it down. On that note too, just because some people are going crazy, yes, I'm trying to have more fun when it comes to the downs, because this is meant to be a stupid and entertaining show. Sometimes if you get too serious, you cannot, well, have fun with it, which is exactly what I just said. So remember, I'm a bald idiot. I don't know anything, so just calm your horses. Tying into all of this as well, beforehand we did see Triple H walking backstage. As we were told, he had a massive announcement when CM Punk and Drew McIntyre arrived in the Hell in a Cell, and they decided, well, we've got to pay off this feud. Let's kill each other. I mean, it was a proper death war, which is what I'm going to call it. And after they looked at each other for a little bit to establish this is super duper serious, they just kicked each other's ass. And that's what we should be doing, because again, they've hated each other since 1924. So we were punching, and we were scratching, and we were clawing. And at one point, I actually said out loud, man, this is really violent. The absolute best part too was that Atlanta was so into CM Punk as a babyface, and they hated Drew McIntyre as the heel, which always makes a match better. And man, bless this CM Punk. When Drew grabbed him and threw him into the steel, he sold it like it was made of acid. Now this was a little bit over the top, but it's exactly what you do want. You want to look at this structure and think, man, I don't want to go in there. Drew did that as well when he got held into the damn thing, which is when CM Punk got a table. And I know some people had been like, oh, I don't want any weapons in this. Kind of like what we did do back in 1997, although they did have chairs. But did you hear the fans? They were desperate for some wood, which sounds terrible. Sometimes you've just got to accept we're in 2024. Now, first I shuddered as well, because then Drew went and got the toolbox. And I was like, why is it when we are in Hell in a Cell, there has to be a toolbox? Like, does Steve the electrician, after he's built the damn thing, go, oh, can't believe it, I left my tools under the ring? Damn it, Steve, you had one job. The thing is, though, eventually, these two guys were taking the wrench out of that thing and trying to jab it into open wounds. And at one point, Punk got it, and he smashed Drew McIntyre right in the head. Now, according to the internet, and I'm sure we'll learn more as time does go on, Drew had decided, you know what, CM, I am going to let you smack me right in the skull, because it's going to look worse. And it really did look horrible. I think I fell on the floor. Punk then went and got the table legs from the table and was using that to choke Drew. And a lot of people said on my social media, oh, it's a crime. But actually, it's not a crime, because again, these two guys had signed on for Hell in a Cell, which means anything goes. They soon spilled to the outside, where Drew McIntyre just wrecked CM Punk with a claymore, when he also took Simba the Steel Steps and he just hit CM Punk right in the head. And CM Punk took it. I was actually scared watching this, because it felt like the line was here and they were 72 miles that way. Drew eventually then started yelling at CM Punk, your wife is going to leave you, so it turned into a soap opera when CM Punk was busted open and then Drew McIntyre was busted open, and we got so much blood here. And I tell you, when you are able to time it right, the red stuff absolutely adds to the emotion of the match. I was totally hooked in. I absolutely love CM Punk as well, because when he was dripping with blood, he did an axe handle, although later on he did it again with the toolbox in his hand. So all you need to know is this. CM Punk did a death blow, and then Drew McIntyre did a death blow. Then eventually they were on the ring apron, and the table was set up on the outside, and they did this suplex. Now listen, that doesn't sound that bad, but you have to go and watch it. I mean, the room for error was basically zero. I don't think they're going to be walking very well today. McIntyre was then bleeding like a tomato, but he was able to hit a Claymore kick for a 1-2-ooh, and then CM Punk was hitting GTSs for a 1-2-ooh. And while deep down in my tum-tum, I presumed CM was going to win, this is the other reason this damn Hell in a Cell was so good. There was just like a 5%, I don't know, thought in my Tootsie Toes. Well, sure, that's what I'm considering, but Drew could win it too. At one point as well, McIntyre took too long, and CM Punk definitely took his Phoenix down, which is when he got his GTS. And this is when you just have to go and see a picture of both of them. They're just like all woozy-goozy. It kind of looked like they had become zombies, had arrived back in the world of the living, seen the other guy and gone, well, we better fight again. We also got exactly what Punk promised on Raw, because Drew was on his knees begging him as he had the blood. But what did McIntyre do? He punched Punk right in the testicles, and this was obviously a callback, because why did Drew McIntyre not win the world title in his hometown of Scotland? CM Punk had punched him in the dick. And then absolutely laughed out loud as well, because McIntyre had one of those black bags, and because it was essentially a hardcore match, like, oh, it's gonna be thumbtacks. But it wasn't. It was the remnants of the bracelet, and he poured it all over CM Punk's head. I do believe that's called emotional manipulation. This then became the sickest thing I had seen all year, because Drew McIntyre set up for the Claymore, and he was gonna do something on Simba the Steel Steps, when Punk moved. And honestly, man, McIntyre's back didn't go into the top of Simba, he kind of went into the side of the thing, and his lumbar cannot be working anymore. This is one of the most disgusting bumps I have seen in years, and more power to that guy, he knew what he was doing. Punk then went totally nuts too, because he took a chain, why wouldn't you do this, and he wrapped it around his knee, when of course he gave Drew McIntyre the weapon-assisted GTS, and he pinned him for the 1-2-3. But much like I had hoped and predicted, when he was walking to the back, he fell down too, and people were giving him oxygen, and Adam Pearce was like, why? Because he can't handle anything. I'm just gonna tell you this, it was absolutely the best Hell in a Cell in years. So I'm still desperately worried about Drew McIntyre's back, and I'm gonna have nightmares about it. But these two had to pay off a feud that had been going on since January. They knocked it out the park. At the same time, they took this stipulation and they brought back the violence. So there's only one thing to do. It doesn't just get an up, it gets a golden up, which these days means you get the amazing, invisible, special effects, wiggly finger thing. Now, they absolutely earned this, and I'm sure they're super happy about it, but I'm not actually sure what else they could have done. I'm gonna give them a round of applause. Just because on camera, this is gonna look really funny, and if you're not planning to see it, you need to change that right now. When we followed this with utter shenanigans, I thought that was quite smart. Well, actually, no, before this, we cut to a skybox when we were talking to our hosts. I don't think we should do this again. When it was time for our Women's Championship match, Bayley versus Nia Jax. Now, Jax hurled Bayley around to begin with because she is so strong. When they went to the corner, and Bayley was able to do what she did last time, when she turned an Annihilator into a powerbomb, but no, at the last second, Nia Jax reversed that into a Hurricane Rana. Now, it didn't exactly go how they did want it to go, but actually, I was impressed with the effort. I just think Nia Jax right now is the best version of Nia Jax, which makes no sense, but she's doing such good work. When Bayley went and sunset bombed her into Tina the Turnbuckle. Bayley then got the big old elbow when they found themselves on the outside when Nia charged at Bales, but Bayley just got out the way, and Nia went right into Simba the Steel Steps, who was having a terrible evening. I mean, he'd been murdered in the first match, so why the hell are we finishing off the corpse? That was a dark thing to say. It also continued because Jax was able to get back to her feet when she powerbombed Bayley onto Simba, when she also took her and threw her into barricade. So listen, Nia Jax, you need to be nicer to our wrestling ringside friends. Jax then got the Samoan drop, which is fine because she is Samoan, but then Bayley also hit a Samoan drop, and she's not Samoan at all, so I guess we just have to call it the drop. Because they were kind of at a stalemate though, they both sort of fell down. And at one point, Nia landed on the referee. So you know the deal with the referee. They can't handle that. and they were essentially dead. Of course, this was all done so Bayley could hit the rose plant, as she had a visual 1, 2, 3, but there was no official when Tiffany Stratton ran to the ring with this briefcase. And this Atlanta crowd came unglued. She made sure to smack Bayley in the face when she did tease that she was going to cash in, and she was shaking this referee. When Nia Jax turned into The Undertaker, she came back to life, and she looked at Tiffy like a disappointed mother. It's like, I can't believe you're doing this again. Now, Bayley used all of this as a distraction. She hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up for a very good 1-2-ooh. When it all went bad. Because Bayley wanted to go back to the top, so Stratton just threw the briefcase at her, which actually quite a good second distraction. And when Bayley hurled it back down, she had totally forgotten she was fighting Nia Jax, who hit an avalanche Samoan drop when she killed her with the Annihilator. 1, 2, 3. So I am really glad that we haven't cashed in this briefcase yet, because I think you could go with this relationship for a good few months. And I was also pleased that we kind of protected Bayley here. She certainly needs something after this, but once again, they knew what they were following, and they just came out and had a good time, which meant I had a good time. Let's gig it up. This is when we got a crazy amount of advertising, because Bianca Belair told us about 2-night SummerSlam, when Xavier Woods was like, oh man, Dragon Ball Z, that's a good old thing. When we cut to Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in the crowd, I was like, I don't think we're ever going to see those trio of events again. It also meant we went right into Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, and I'll just say this, they did exactly what they had to do. Now really this feud had been put in place so that Damian could get a big old win over the Judgment Day after he lost his World Championship at the SummerSlam. And yeah, kind of repeating myself, that's exactly what we did. Now for some reason Finn came out in a mask, and I think he had an F under his eye, and I thought about it and I was like, I bet that stands for falafel. I mean, that's some good eating. He is such an underrated talent too, and he kind of came at Damian Priest to begin here when he jumped off the rope, and Damian Priest hit him with this mega punch. The commentators sold it like death, and even Damian was like, oh, my hand. I thought he'd broken Finn Balor's face. So it really is the small things, which is what Blink 182 were talking about, when all of a sudden Damo was able to hit the Falcon Arrow, and he got a 1-2-ooh. I suppose the only problem here is nobody was going to pop for that. We were just going, where's the Judgment Day? They're definitely going to be out here soon. Before that, though, Damo made sure to throw Finn over Alan the announce table, and he razor-edged him part 2 into the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, when, of course, out came Carlito. He was doing the distraction dance when JD McDonough was here, and he smacked Damian Priest. Now, that did allow Finn to hit the coup de grace, but he only got a 1-2-ooh, because you know the deal with that finishing move. You can hit it once, sure, but it never does much of anything. Everybody was clearly aware once again, which had happened in the opener, so we did involve a chair, but Damian just kicked that right into Finn's face when he turned to Carlito and JD, and he beat their ass too. And I know Judgment Day fans get a little bit annoyed about this, but I can't help it. I sit there like a massive geek, and I'm like, oh man, Damian Priest, he's so cool. Now throughout this, because he did have time to rest, Finn Balor was just hitting the D-pad to do his taunts, because he filled up his meter, because he hit 1 coup de grace, then he hit 2 coup de grace. Just as he was going for 3 coup de grace, Damian decided, no, I don't like the fact you're hurting my ribs, and he hit 1 big choke slam. That was basically it. So we did get the right winner, and again, I do appreciate that he got the better of the Judgment Day, because he's meant to be a babyface, but there was something anticlimactic about this. But maybe that was always going to be the way. I mean, there was no titles on the line or anything, but I still enjoyed it for what it was, and these two are super duper good talents that have had a terrific 2024. Give it an up. When we did get to this Triple H announcement, cue meltdown. He talked about his terrorizing character from 30 years ago in WCW, because he used to live near this venue, when he turned his attentions to Crown Jewel, which is indeed the pay-per-view next month. Now the big twist is that for both the men and women, we are going to do champion versus champion, but neither title is on the line, because instead, everybody is competing for the brand new Crown Jewel Championship, which Hunter did reveal. Now, surely this was made by Sesame Street, because it's absolutely been inspired by a bunch of rectangles. This thing got even more nuts, because Gunther just walked to the ring. It was like, haha, what would Bad Blood be without your World Heavyweight Champion? And I was like, well, yeah. Why aren't we doing the Sami Zayn match? Now, Gunther wanted to talk about the legends in the crowd, and we had seen one earlier, which was none other than Bill Goldberg with his son. So yeah, Gunther looked at Billy Boy and he said, hey, how you doing? The Ring General also instantly referenced his Bret Hart promo from a few weeks ago, and he said, Bill, I know I said you're one of my favorite wrestlers, but I was lying. And in fact, why would the greatest wrestler alive care about a one-trick pony? That's just that, man. Gunther, you're going to babyface yourself because you're too damn funny. This carried on as well because he told Gage, Goldberg's son, I hope he's a better dad than he is a wrestler. And when Goldberg got mad and hopped over Barry Barricade when he got stopped by security, Gunther threw in, sure, Bill, I've got 3 minutes for you. And I was like, right, that's it. He's the best guy in the company. Sami Zayn then decided, despite being a babyface, he was going to jump Gunther, so they kind of fought to the back. And look, the big tease here is that I guess we could do Goldberg versus Gunther at Crown Jewel, but that also doesn't make any sense because it's going to be Gunther versus Cody Rhodes because they're the rules that Triple H just told us about. I want to make it clear that if we did do Gunther versus Goldberg at one point, I would be totally cool with it. I think I just said that. One day, I'm going to be dead. So if you want to pull a bunch of random ass matches out of your butt and put it on TV, why the flub not? The thing is though, having just an out of nowhere championship to try and make these Saudi Arabia shows feel bigger than they actually are, it's just so dull and it's so redundant because you can just see through it. It's way too transparent. And the rest of WWE's booking right now is so damn toit and it kind of ties into everything else that when you do get something that comes out of nowhere, well, it just makes you feel a little bit sad in your tum-tum. I also do not want Gunther versus Cody Rhodes to be built off this damn rectangular thing. I want it to have story and narrative and emotion, so I do have to give it a down. Once again, it just doesn't seem to exist within the ether of what WWE is trying to do right now. And also, I haven't seen anybody excited about this, so I think it was the wrong move. It's also basically what we did with Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul as well when we teased it was WWE champion versus US champion. So yeah, I think I've said this once, I'll tell it twice. It's just redundant. If you are going to do champion versus champion, it should be because we are going to crown a mega champion, and you do that at WrestleMania. We also then took this Chelsea Green gimmick too far as well, because she was in the back and people were still saying that she smelled, even though obviously she's had a shower. Also, if you want to be a super nerd, you could say, well, Michin went into that dumpster too, so surely she stinks. We don't need to chat about this. Let's just move on. But Chelsea Green is genuinely one of the most entertaining people on the roster. When it was time for Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio with his moustache taking on Rhea Ripley for the other women's championship, and of course, because wrestling is the greatest thing on the planet, Dominik was in a shark cage. Now, Rhea thought this was hilarious because she knows that Dominik is claustrophobic. I guess Liv Morgan tried to use that to her advantage, but for a good old while, Rhea grabbed her, was basically pulling all her limbs off. The thing is, though, Ripley had hurt her leg coming into this match, and eventually Morgan remembered that, so she started to slam the thing, and she used Rhea the ring post. So there it is. It's a full house. All of our wrestling friends were accosted on this evening, and I don't hear anybody giving a damn. It was the same for Barry Barricade, because Liv did do a very impressive sunset bomb into that thing when she hit a code breaker, 1-2-0. She also went for the Oblivion, but Ripley was able to turn that into the Riptide, but you know what happened. She wasn't able to do it because her leg came out. It's like, damn it, limbs, do a better job. Liv then wanted the Three Amigos. When you're a heel, you never get to number 3, and when we did get to the trio, instead Ripley was basically able to turn it into a razor's edge, and that was nice too, because it was a wink and a nod to her terrible twin brother. That didn't make any sense. Now, amazingly, by this point, Mysterio had figured out how to unlock the cage, which are skills that he must have learned in prison, but this guy just understands his character so much. So when he was trying to get to the floor, he got his leg stuck, so Rhea Ripley went and got Kendrick the kendo stick, and she just started to lay into him. And once again, this is so damn simple. You always want to see Rhea beat up Dom Dom. I tell you, she properly whacked him. Before that too, she'd also hit the Splash of the Frogs for a 1-2-ooh and killed Liv Morgan with a Riptide on the outside, when all of a sudden, a secret assailant was here, and she started to beat up Liv Morgan. Not Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. Now I then started doing the Dance of Joy, because I actually got a prediction right, and this never happens, but a few weeks ago, not gonna lie, on a whim, I just went, well, maybe Raquel Rodriguez should return, and she can tie with Liv Morgan, because that makes all the sense in the world, and that's what happens. She beat up Rhea Ripley, she hit the Tahana bomb, or whatever it's called, well, she did pull Liv over a deceased Rhea Ripley, and she thought there was gonna be a 1-2-3, but actually what had happened here is that I'm guessing, we had totally screwed up the timing of the finish, and the referee had accidentally seen the interaction and the interference, so they had to call for the DQ. Whoops. I mean, it definitely felt a bit awkward, so I thought we were calling things on the fly, and even Michael Cole said, well, that's just a visual pin. It doesn't mean anything, but here is the deal. Human beings make mistakes, man. I've seen some people on the internet go totally crazy about this. We are still going to give it a down because, yes, it came across as a little bit whiffy woo-hoo, but ultimately, we can just get on with our lives. And the ref did do the right thing. It would have been so redonkulous if they had ignored this. They were literally looking at Raquel. I really do like this though, because one, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan do have a history. Two, Raquel can now go into this mini group with Dominik and Morgan, which I think is going to be funny. And three, Rhea Ripley is still going to win the belt before the end of the year. And now that win will just be bigger still. And the match was fine before all of that, so I shall give it an up. But yes, the ending is not what anybody wanted it to be. Sometimes you swing, very sadly you miss. We then got to our main event, and you can go crazy because Roman Reigns did come out after Cody Rhodes, so there's our controversial take for the evening, when a marching band also played Rhodes to the ring, which meant straight after that we got the whole wrestling has more than one royal family, when we stopped and we got that line again. I don't know why it's funny. We got it twice. It was like Cody had gone, you guys don't understand. Of course, they were facing the bloodline too, so there were big stakes here. And our first big moment did come in the sense Cody Rhodes was in there and he was trying to beat everybody up when he was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a tag. And Roman put his hand out. This was sold like the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of man. And when he got the hot slap, this place went nuts. I mean, it is Roman's first match since WrestleMania. What I really liked about all this as well is that the whole story was nobody could stop Jacob Fatu. And even here, Roman was struggling with it, and it was Solo and Jacob working together, which is the only way they were able to get one up on it. When Jacob eventually got his proper tag too, everybody understands the assignment. It's like, you can get offense in on him, but he's just gonna pop right back up. Sadly, he overcooked a Stinger Splash at one point. He went right into the turnbuckle when we got our first hot tag, which was Roman Reigns back to Cody Rhodes. Once again, this place just loved it. So you can understand why it's beneficial to have two super duper mega stars. They can even touch hands. You get people going, ah, cinema. He went crazy and was able to take out Fatu with a Cody cutter when once again Solo Sikoa was getting involved, which allowed Jacob to hit that awesome Samoan drop. And he is most definitely Samoan. It also meant the American Nightmare now needed a tag, but it was the bloodline that kept stopping Roman Reigns. And fair play to the production team, because at one point it looked like he had just flubbed off, but actually he'd been pulled to the apron by the enemy. But at first, you had a bit of a panic. The two eventually went for a swanton, but Cody was able to get his knees up. And that's when Roman Reigns' hand had reached optimal temperature, and we got the biggest hot tag of the night. Now, Sikoa was actually able to block a Superman punch when he was going for the spike, when Roman turned that into a crucifix pin, which meant if he had have won, he would have done it with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. One day we gotta do it. He was able to get a Superman punch after that for a 1-2 when Jacob Fatu was back. And this is when, man, he hit the moonsault and Sikoa hit the big old splash. And it actually looked like the bloodline was gonna win. And at the very last second, who broke it up? It was Repo Man. No, it wasn't. That would have been the dream. It was damn Cody. Rhodes then made sure he dodged as Jacob Fatu came running at him, meaning Fatu went crashing through Barry Barricade. But once again, he doesn't have to sell anything. He got back to his feet. He started to throw chairs everywhere, like a juggler. Cody then decided he'd had enough of this, so he crossroads him on the outside. When he put him on Ali the announce table, he climbed to the top of Tina the turnbuckle, and he gave him this mega splash. I was like, well, not only is that another callback, but it just looked damn amazing. Back in the ring, Roman thought he was going to win it after a Superman punch when, of course, the Tongans were here. Because once again, that's always their MO. Oh no, our tribal chief is in trouble. We come into the ring. It also meant it was time to get into the wonderful nonsense because, of course, a hooded figure then turned up, which is tradition. But it was not Drew McIntyre in a hoodie, and it was the returning Jimmy Uso. And he got such a big pop, it made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. I just love this guy. He was able to unload with super kicks onto Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, which of course meant Solo Sikoa was having a meltdown in the ring when Roman Reigns came in with the spear and he got the 1-2-3. So look, if you do go back in time, it was so bizarre that Jimmy Uso had just decided, oh, I love you again, Roman. But here it felt like such a big deal because essentially it doesn't matter what Reigns does, he will always be Jimbo's tribal chief. These two made sure to hug as well as Cody was in the corner going, well, I'm glad we won the match, but this is a little bit strange. And after the original Bloodline had left the ring, the Bloodline 2.0 were back, and they beat Cody's ass. This was a nice moment too, because it was Jimmy saying to Roman, man, you're the OTC, you're the tribal chief, and you have to do what's right, especially when these guys are screwing with your business. And they went back to the ring, they did clear house, but once again, this place just went crazy. It also allowed Roman to grab the title and look at it before he handed back to Cody, so that was a big deal when WWE decided they were gonna level up. Because from nowhere we got the whole, if you smell, and the final boss returned. And man, if you are into big old reactions, you need to see this. I mean, it was absolutely redonkulous. It was a little bit weird as well though, because The Rock did indeed walk out as he took in these cheers. When he slit his throat, he went 1, 2, 3 on his hands, when he turned around and left again. I was like, oh man, maybe he left the oven on. So he was absolutely disgusted by this, although I think you can figure it out. The whole counting with the digits, I think, was a reference to Roman. Do you remember WrestleMania 40, you absolute dingus? You went and lost. I would also assume that The Rock is behind the brand new bloodline, which we shall reveal, which essentially means now we have set up his rematch with Cody, or his match with Cody, and his first match against Roman, and who the hell knows? Maybe we do a triple threat at WrestleMania 41. It really did make a wonderful end to the PLE though, and I thought the match was super duper fun, so I am gonna give it an up. But I will double down what I said at the start of this video. You could have done this at the start of the show or in the middle of the show and had the Hell in the Cell end the show. I understand why The Rock would want to finish it. He's The Rock, he's the biggest star, of course he is. He's a mainstream star, but sometimes on the wrestling show, wrestling will always win out, and that's just how I felt. But at the same time, I was still able to enjoy all of this, no matter where it was placed. I thought it was all pretty damn good. There's actually more here too, because we did the Kevin Owens heel turn, but we did it on social media, and you can check this out now too. They were talking in front of Cody's boss when KO just smacked him one. And WWE put their faith in the fans, but they were totally right. We only know about this because people were recording it on their cell phones. And man, do I appreciate the creativity with that. That is super duper interesting. Which brings us to the end of Bad Blood, and I shall say it was a very indifferent show. That Saudi Arabia stuff was a terrible announcement, and again, having The Rock back is always exciting because the final boss is great, but you could have shimmied that around. And yeah, sure, a couple of the matches were a little bit lackluster, but you take the ending, you take the first match, it's well worthy of your time. Up. Now, of course, please do make sure you leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Bad Blood. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for SmackDown. Maybe you want to watch that now, I don't know. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And then just go and enjoy your Sundays, my friends. I'll see you soon.